Welcome to Dreamland Sleep. My name is Alice, your host, and I will be taking you on your journey tonight. In the vast, expansive realm of Greek mythology, the story of Achilles begins even before his birth, intertwined with the narratives of gods, demigods, and mortals alike. It all started with a grand event, the marriage of his parents, Peleus, the king of the Myrmidons in Thessaly, and the divine sea nymph Thetis. Their wedding was a remarkable spectacle, uniting the realms of immortals and mortals. Nearly every deity attended this matrimonial union, the air filled with divine presence, joy, and merriment. Only one goddess was conspicuously absent, Eris, the goddess of discord. Intentionally left off the guest list due to her disruptive nature, Eris took offense and sought revenge. The vengeful goddess crashed the ceremony, hurling into the crowd a magnificent golden apple inscribed with the words, "To the fairest." This act of provocation ignited a heated debate among the most beautiful goddesses, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, each believing themselves to be the rightful recipient of the apple. This discord culminated in the judgment of Paris, a mortal prince of Troy, who was chosen to decide the fairest goddess. Bribed by Aphrodite's promise of the most beautiful woman in the world, Paris awarded the golden apple to her. Unbeknownst to him, this decision would precipitate a cataclysmic war and change the fate of many, including the yet-to-be-born Achilles. Meanwhile, a prophecy echoed in the divine realm, a prophecy that would significantly influence Achilles' life trajectory. The prophecy foretold that Thetis would bear a son who would surpass his father in might and glory. Fearful of this prediction, Zeus, who initially desired Thetis, orchestrated her marriage to the mortal Peleus. Eventually, Thetis gave birth to a son, Achilles. From the moment of his birth, his life was marked by the dual forces of mortal vulnerability and divine might. Achilles was a child of two worlds. His father Peleus was a renowned hero and king of the Myrmidons in Thessaly. His mother Thetis was a Nereid, a sea nymph of exquisite beauty. As the infant Achilles opened his eyes to the world, he bore the weight of a prophecy. He was destined either to lead a long, peaceful, and insignificant life, or to blaze briefly but brightly, his name forever emblazoned in the annals of history. His childhood, though filled with the typical joys and sorrows of youth, was marked by the unique circumstance of his semi-divine heritage. As a prince of Thessaly, he was educated in the courtly manners befitting a noble, yet the divine blood coursing through his veins called him to a higher destiny. His mother, wishing to bestow upon him the gift of immortality, carried him to the river Styx. According to ancient beliefs, the river had mystical properties, and those who bathed in its waters would gain invincibility. Holding the infant by his heel, Thetis immersed him in the magical river. The waters enveloped him, seeping into his skin, his flesh, his very being, until he was all but invulnerable. Yet, where his mother's hand had held him, his heel, no mystical water touched. It remained mortal, vulnerable, a secret weakness that Thetis fervently hoped would never be exploited. When Achilles was old enough, he was sent to be tutored under the wise centaur, Chiron. Unlike his unruly kin, Chiron was known for his wisdom and knowledge of medicine, music, and prophecy. Hidden deep within the lush forests of Mount Pelion, away from prying eyes and the corrupting influence of court life, Achilles learned the ways of the world. Chiron instructed him in the arts of war, teaching him to wield a spear and a sword, to raise a shield, and to hold his ground in battle. Under the wise centaur's guidance, Achilles' natural talent and divine strength were honed into a formidable skill. Yet, his education was not limited to physical prowess alone. Chiron believed in cultivating the mind as much as the body. Thus, Achilles was taught to play the lyre, to compose poetry, to discuss philosophy, and to understand the will of the gods. He was also trained in the healing arts, a skill that would serve him well in the bloody battlefields that were to be his destiny. As the years passed, Achilles grew into a young man of remarkable ability. His physical prowess was unmatched, and his intellectual capabilities were impressive. He was courteous, charming, and charismatic, yet also introspective and thoughtful. Despite his inherent power, he demonstrated a remarkable ability to empathize with others, perhaps a trait inherited from his nurturing father, Peleus. Yet, a restlessness stirred within him, a yearning for something beyond the peaceful confines of Pelion and the sedate life of Thessaly. His heart yearned for glory, for a chance to prove himself, for a stage upon which to display his skills and courage. It longed for war. Unbeknownst to Achilles, events were unfolding that would soon grant him his wish. Far away in the city of Troy, a choice was made, a woman was taken, and the spark of a great war was lit. And in that war, Achilles would find the glory he sought, and with it his inevitable doom. In the halls of Peleus, the mighty king of the Myrmidons, the prophetic words echoed, their implications heavy and foreboding. Thetis, the divine mother of Achilles, was gripped by an all-consuming fear for her son. The prophecy warned that Achilles, if he were to join the war against Troy, would never return. He would attain immortal glory, but at the steep cost of his life. Determined to protect her son, Thetis devised a plan to hide Achilles from those who would seek his martial prowess. Achilles, now in the prime of his youth, was a figure of radiant splendor and unmatched vigor. His swift feet carried him over the land as if he were as fleet as the wind. His bronzed body was hardened by the countless hours spent under the tutelage of the wise centaur Chiron. His mind was sharp and his courage unyielding. Yet, hidden beneath the fine robes of a maiden, his true identity was concealed. He was whisked away to the distant court of Lycomedes, king of Skyros, where he was to live amongst the king's daughters, his heroic spirit shrouded by the guise of womanhood. On the mainland, the rallying cry for war continued to echo. The most valiant heroes across Greece heeded the call, driven by duty, honor, and the tantalizing promise of eternal fame. Among them was Odysseus, king of Ithaca, renowned not only for his martial prowess, but more so for his cunning and intelligence. Faced with the formidable walls of Troy, the Greeks required all the strength they could muster, and the absence of the swift-footed Achilles was a void that was deeply felt. Tales of Achilles' strength and valor had reached Odysseus, who knew that the young warrior was pivotal for their victory. Guided by his intellect and an unwavering determination, Odysseus began his quest to find Achilles, a quest that would lead him to the court of King Lycomedes. At Skyros, Achilles lived amongst the daughters of the king, his fiery spirit simmering beneath the placid surface. Thetis's plan, although ingenious, could not extinguish the heroic flame that burned within Achilles. He was a warrior born and bred, his soul longing for the glory and honor of the battlefield. Odysseus, upon reaching the court of King Lycomedes, disguised himself as a merchant. His wares were beautiful and enticing, the sort to catch the eye of any maiden. Jewelry, fine cloth, ornate trinkets. Among them, deliberately placed, were weapons of war. As the king's daughters flocked around, giggling and holding up dresses against themselves, a different spectacle drew Odysseus's keen eye. A maiden had been drawn not to the feminine adornments, but to the weapons. Achilles, unable to resist his nature, had instinctively reached for a beautifully crafted spear. In that moment, Odysseus knew he had found his warrior. With words as sharp as arrows and as persuasive as the sweetest nectar, he appealed to Achilles' honor and thirst for glory. He painted images of heroic feats, of valor and victory, of a fame that would outlive the mortal coil. He spoke of the great war, the noble cause, the Trojan walls that were waiting to be breached by the greatest warrior of the age. How could Achilles resist such a call? Beneath the guise of a woman, he was still the son of a warrior king and a goddess, a student of the wise Chiron, a hero in his own right. The battlefield was his stage, his arena, and Odysseus was offering him the performance of a lifetime. With the fire of his destiny ignited, Achilles cast away his disguise, embracing the path that would lead him to immortal glory. The call to war had been answered. Achilles was going to Troy. As dawn broke over the Aegean Sea, the Greek ships commanded by King Agamemnon landed on the shores of Troy. Among their ranks was Achilles, the invincible son of Thetis, ready to wage a war that was prophesied to etch his name in the annals of eternal glory. He led the Myrmidons, warriors as fierce as their leader, their armor gleaming under the morning sun, a formidable force that struck fear in the hearts of their enemies. The Trojan War commenced, and it was as if Ares himself had taken form in Achilles. His might was unparalleled, his spear unerring, cleaving through the Trojan forces like a hot knife through butter. As the sun set each day, it illuminated a battlefield dominated by the Greeks, with Achilles at the helm. However, amid the chaos of war, strife emerged within the Greek camp. A dispute between Achilles and Agamemnon, the commander of the Greek forces, set a new course for the war. Agamemnon, having been commanded to return his war prize, a maiden named Chryseis, to her father, decided to take Briseis, a princess captured by Achilles, as compensation. This act of arrogance and disrespect towards Achilles led to a seismic shift in the Greek hero's demeanor. Achilles, seething with rage, withdrew himself and his Myrmidons from the battle. His piercing blue eyes, which once bore the determination of victory, now reflected a storm of anger and betrayal. He refused to fight for a commander who, he believed, did not respect his contributions or honor. This decision by Achilles dealt a heavy blow to the Greek forces. It was as though Zeus himself had tipped the scale in favor of the Trojans. They capitalized on Achilles' absence, pushing back the Greeks with renewed vigor. Despite the heroics of Ajax and Diomedes, the Greeks could not hold their ground. The war started to take a bitter turn against them. Back at his tent, Achilles was in turmoil, his pride wounded, his honor trampled upon. He could not bring himself to rejoin the battle. However, he found himself torn, for he was not immune to the cries of his comrades or blind to the smoke that rose from the Greek camp. He was a warrior, born and bred for battle, and his heart yearned to respond to the clarion call of war. Yet, his wrath held him back. In an act of desperation, he implored his mother Thetis to intervene. He asked her to plead with Zeus to tip the war in favor of the Trojans until the Greeks came to realize his worth. Thetis, seeing her son in such distress, ascended to Mount Olympus and presented her son's case to Zeus. The king of gods, bound by a promise he had made to Thetis, reluctantly agreed. From that point onwards, the war witnessed a divine intervention that fueled the Trojans' onslaught. Thus, the chapter of the Iliad that sang of Achilles' wrath unfolded. A hero in his seething rage and injured pride had distanced himself from the battlefield, drastically altering the fate of many. The winds of war had changed, but this was only the beginning of the series of events that would further deepen Achilles' narrative, etching his name into the framework of immortality. Little did Achilles know that his withdrawal from the battle was a step towards the prophecy that had been foretold, a prophecy steeped in blood, loss, and glory. A thick veil of melancholy shrouded the Greek camp. The tide of the Trojan War had turned against them, and the morale of the men was at its nadir. Achilles, the mightiest of the Achaean warriors, remained confined to his tent, brooding over the affront by Agamemnon. As a result, the Greeks were losing ground rapidly. Patroclus, Achilles' dearest friend and confidant, keenly felt the dejection permeating the camp. Born out of his concern for their comrades and his indomitable spirit, Patroclus conceived a plan. Approaching Achilles with both humility and resolve, he proposed to don Achilles' splendid armor and lead their Myrmidons into battle. He believed that the mere sight of Achilles on the battlefield would be a morale booster for the Greeks and a deterrent for the Trojans. Initially, Achilles was skeptical, recognizing the perils inherent in Patroclus' plan. The Trojan warriors were no ordinary fighters, and facing them would be a formidable task. Yet, moved by Patroclus' earnest plea and his own love for their fellow warriors, he eventually agreed. He entrusted Patroclus with his radiant armor, but not without issuing a stern warning. He must only drive the Trojans away from the Greek ships and not pursue them into the city of Troy. Clad in Achilles' god-crafted armor and wielding his fearsome spear, Patroclus instilled renewed hope among the disheartened Greeks. A chorus of cheers rose from the Greek camp as he led the Myrmidons against the Trojan front. The Trojans, mistaking him for Achilles, felt a collective shiver of fear run through their ranks. For a time, Patroclus's plan worked. The sight of Achilles on the battlefield breathed new life into the Greek forces. They rallied and began to push back against the Trojan onslaught. The tide seemed to turn, and a spark of hope ignited in the hearts of the Greeks. But Patroclus, emboldened by the success and swept away by the blood rush of battle, disobeyed Achilles' explicit instruction. The heat of the battle carried him further and further, and he found himself at the walls of Troy, chasing the Trojans back to their city. Meanwhile, on Mount Olympus, the gods watched the events unfolding below. Apollo, the patron of the Trojans, was displeased by this turn of events. Taking the form of a mortal, he descended onto the battlefield. In the heat of the battle, he approached Patroclus and struck a blow, disorienting him. Hector, the valiant Trojan prince, spotted the opportunity, and with a mighty thrust of his spear, struck down the imitation Achilles. A hush descended upon the battlefield as Patroclus fell. News of Patroclus's death reached the Greek camp, causing a wave of despair to wash over the Greeks. But no grief compared to that of Achilles, who was filled with a sense of loss and guilt. His friend, his brother in all but blood. Achilles' mourning echoed through the camp, a chilling lament that signified not only the loss of a friend, but the heralding of a wrath unparalleled. The death of Patroclus was a seismic blow to Achilles, who up until this point had remained aloof from the battlefield, ensnared in his own wounded pride. His beloved companion's death ripped through this wall of ego, replacing the cold disdain with a fiery wrath that was felt by all who dared cross his path. With renewed fervour, a divine wrath in his heart and eyes alight with vengeance, Achilles found himself drawn back to the merciless fields of battle. He sought out Hephaestus, the god of blacksmiths and fire, commissioning him to forge a new suit of armor and a shield that could intimidate the gods themselves. Adorned in this divine gear, his figure radiated a terrifying aura, and as he stepped back onto the battlefield, the very air grew heavy with a foreboding sense of doom. He was no longer just Achilles, the greatest warrior of the Myrmidons. He was now the incarnation of revenge, a figure of raw, indomitable power. Every swing of his mighty spear cleaved through the Trojan ranks, his sole focus being the hunt for Hector, the man who had taken his dearest friend away from him. His rampage was a chilling spectacle, as if Ares himself, the god of war, were wreaking havoc on the Trojans. The duel between Achilles and Hector was anticipated with bated breath by both armies, and even by the gods themselves. The two warriors were of the same mould, courageous, invincible in their own right, and guided by a sense of honor. Yet, there was a palpable difference. Achilles was not merely driven by honor, but fueled by raw vengeance, his wrath making him an almost unstoppable force. When the moment of their clash came, it was cataclysmic. The resounding clang of their weapons echoed across the battlefield, a harsh symphony of steel, strength, and skill. They were a whirlwind of power and motion, their combat shaking the foundations of Troy. Achilles attacked with a primal ferocity, his every move a testament to his desire for retribution. Despite Hector's valiant efforts, he was overpowered. In the end, Achilles' spear found its mark, and Hector, the noble prince of Troy, fell. But Achilles' vengeance was not sated by Hector's death alone. He tied the prince's lifeless body to his chariot and drove around the walls of Troy, subjecting Hector's corpse to this final brutal indignity. The skies wept at this sight, a hero's body dragged in the dirt. But Achilles was beyond caring for honor or respect. His heart, filled with the icy void left by Patroclus' death, knew only revenge and sought to exact this brutal retribution. Achilles became a figure of dread, the embodiment of wrathful vengeance, his actions casting a shadow over the heroism and glory of his past. Even the gods were taken aback by Achilles' merciless rage. Zeus, the king of gods, contemplated intervening, while others, like Apollo and Aphrodite, who favored the Trojans, mourned the loss of the noble Hector. Yet, through all this, Achilles remained untouched by remorse or regret. His friend's ghost was avenged, and for Achilles that was all that mattered. He returned to his camp, Hector's body still trailing behind his chariot, a grim trophy of his victorious revenge. In the aftermath of the duel, Achilles was both hailed as a hero and feared as an agent of uncontrolled wrath. He had brought the Greeks a step closer to victory, yet his actions had sown a sense of unease among his comrades. The line between hero and monster had blurred, and all wondered, as they looked upon the wrathful figure of Achilles, which side he truly belonged to. His tale became one not just of heroism, but also of the consuming, destructive power of revenge. The death of Hector marked a turning point in the Trojan War. The Trojans, led by King Priam, retreated within their city walls, mourning their fallen prince, while the Greeks rejoiced at the elimination of their most formidable foe. However, for Achilles, the victory was bittersweet. While he had avenged Patroclus, the guilt and sorrow lingered, gnawing at the edges of his triumph. One evening, as Achilles sat in his tent, surrounded by the spoils of war, yet lost in his desolation, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was King Priam, who had somehow managed to cross the Greek lines, guided by the god Hermes. The aged king of Troy stood before Achilles, his eyes carrying the weight of a father's sorrow and a city's despair. "Pity me, Achilles," Priam implored, dropping to his knees and raising his hands in supplication. The sight was poignant, and it echoed the deep-seated traditions of guest friendship and respect for elders, even amid the harsh realities of war. Here was a powerful king, humbling himself before the killer of his son, invoking the gods and asking for mercy. "I come before you as a father," Priam continued, his voice shaking with grief. "You too had a father whom you loved. Imagine his sorrow if he had to endure what I am going through now. I have endured what no other mortal ever has. I kissed the hands of the man who killed my son." Achilles was moved by the king's plea. He saw in Priam the image of his own father Peleus, whom he would never see again. He thought of his fate, the prophecy that had brought him here, and the inevitable death awaiting him. The lines between enemy and friend, victor and vanquished blurred, replaced by a shared understanding of loss and the fleeting nature of life. "Your words have touched my heart, King Priam," Achilles finally said, his voice heavy with emotion. "You have reminded me of my father and my mortality. I will return Hector's body to you." And so, for a brief moment, the war stood still. Achilles instructed his men to prepare Hector's body for release. They washed and anointed the body, wrapping it in a shroud and laying it on a litter. Priam, his mission accomplished, thanked Achilles and promised him a proper burial should he fall in battle, an act of respect from one warrior to another. The return of Hector's body marked a period of respite in the bloody conflict. Both sides agreed to a temporary truce to allow the Trojans to mourn and bury their fallen prince properly. Priam returned to Troy with Hector's body, and a grand funeral was held. The people of Troy mourned their lost hero, their grief echoed by the wailing of Andromache, Hector's wife, and Hecuba, his mother. As for Achilles, he watched from afar as the funeral pyre for Hector burned brightly against the night sky. He had returned his enemy's body, showing mercy in the face of despair, and in doing so had demonstrated a rare compassion that belied his reputation as a ruthless warrior. But the knowledge of his impending fate was never far from his mind. He knew he had set in motion the events that would lead to his own demise. But in that moment, perhaps for the first time, he felt a strange sense of peace. Achilles' days were numbered as per the prophecy, and this stage of the story begins under the heavy shadow of impending tragedy. There was a lingering sense of inevitability that permeated the atmosphere, even as the Greek camp still celebrated the demise of Hector. Achilles himself was a changed man, the raging inferno within him quenched by the act of revenge, and his spirits tamed by the supplication of the bereaved King Priam. The battles around the city of Troy resumed, and Achilles was back at the heart of it, cutting down Trojan warriors with the deadly efficiency that had earned him his formidable reputation. Yet, a newfound restraint defined his actions, a kind of acceptance that had stemmed from the tragic loss of Patroclus and the burden of guilt he carried for it. Meanwhile, in the royal palace of Troy, the bereaved Paris, Hector's brother, was desperate for vengeance. Hector was the city's beloved hero, and Paris felt the weight of responsibility to avenge his brother's death. Guided by the god Apollo, who harbored resentment towards Achilles, Paris began to hatch a plan to end the life of the indomitable Greek hero. The gods, ever whimsical and meddlesome in mortal affairs, watched from their celestial abode. Apollo, in particular, had an interest in the demise of Achilles, irked by the dishonor Achilles had inflicted on his Trojan devotee Hector. He whispered into the ears of Paris, giving him the strength and resolution to face the Greek warrior who had brought so much suffering upon his city. On a day that dawned like any other, the warriors met again on the fields before the towering walls of Troy. From the ramparts, Paris, armed with his bow and guided by Apollo, kept a watchful eye for Achilles. The Greek hero, unaware of the divine conspiracy against him, fought with his usual vigor, his figure radiating an aura of invincibility. And then a moment arrived that would forever be etched in the annals of Greek history. Paris, with a prayer on his lips and his eyes gleaming with determination, notched an arrow onto his bowstring, drawing it with all his might. Apollo guided his aim towards Achilles, where his divine mother's protection was incomplete, his vulnerable heel. The arrow flew, swift and true, and found its mark. A gasp ran through the battlefield as the mighty Achilles faltered, a look of surprise fleeting across his face. The pain was immediate and excruciating. His cry echoed on the battlefield, a sound that was as much an expression of betrayal as it was of physical pain. The invincible hero of the Greeks fell, his body convulsing in shock and agony. His compatriots rushed to his aid, their faces reflecting the horror of what had unfolded before their eyes. In the looming silence that followed the fall of Achilles, only one sound could be heard: the soft thud of the fatal arrow hitting the ground, its deadly mission accomplished. The Greeks mourned the loss of their greatest warrior. His mother Thetis, hearing of her son's death, rushed from the depths of the sea to cradle her fallen child, her lamentations filling the air. The men who had fought alongside Achilles were struck with grief. They retrieved his body and bore it back to their encampment, their heads bowed in sorrow. His death marked the beginning of the end of the Trojan War, a chapter that had been written by the cruel hands of fate and the whims of vengeful gods. His passing was a testament to the vulnerability of even the greatest heroes and the impermanence of mortal life. In the aftermath of Achilles' death, the atmosphere in the Greek camp was desolate, a stark contrast to the valor and bravado that had once permeated the air. The greatest warrior of their time, the radiant Achilles, had fallen. It was a loss that sent ripples through the ranks, a painful reality they were forced to grapple with. And yet, even in death, Achilles was a potent force, his legacy resonating far beyond the bounds of the war-torn plains of Troy. His story did not conclude with his mortal end, rather it unfolded into a new chapter, one that would perpetuate through the corridors of time, influencing generations yet unborn. With the tangible presence of their champion extinguished, the Greeks were left with an invaluable relic of Achilles' existence, his extraordinary armor. Forged by the divine blacksmith Hephaestus, the armor encapsulated the might and majesty of the fallen hero, serving as a physical manifestation of Achilles' indomitable spirit. This armor became the bone of contention between the cunning Odysseus and the formidable Ajax the Greater, both asserting their right to claim the splendid armor. Ultimately, it was the eloquent argument of Odysseus that won the day, and with it, the armor of Achilles. This episode laid the foundation of Odysseus' own legend, while marking an important facet of Achilles' posthumous influence. Tragically, the denied claim to the armor led Ajax to his own self-destruction, proving that even in death, Achilles was a determining force in the fates of heroes. Simultaneously, Achilles' death marked the inevitable downfall of Troy. The warrior's passing proved a grim precursor to the city's ruin, his avenging spirit demanding and ensuring its final decimation. Even the mighty walls of Troy, once deemed impenetrable, could not withstand the reverberations of Achilles' wrathful legacy. The Greeks, once critical of Achilles' wrath, mourned the loss of their most formidable warrior. Even the heavens seemed to share in their sorrow, the usually vibrant sunset muted into a dull grey. Achilles' death echoed the truth of the prophecy foretold at his birth. His life was a brief blaze of glory, illuminating the annals of Greek history with his heroic exploits and tragic end. The greatest homage to Achilles was his funeral, a grand ceremony attended by all the Greeks. They raised a magnificent pyre for him, one befitting the son of a goddess and a hero of his stature. Upon this pyre, Achilles' mortal remains were cremated, his body reunited with the fire of his spirit. The ashes of Achilles were then collected, to be interred with those of his dearest companion Patroclus, in a golden urn crafted by the hands of Hephaestus himself. It was a poignant reminder of the devastation of war, a tribute to the noble souls who had laid down their lives for the pursuit of honor and glory. The legacy of Achilles was far-reaching. His valor in battle became the stuff of legends, a benchmark for all heroes in the generations to come. Poets and bards wove epic tales around his exploits, immortalizing his heroic deeds and tragic downfall. His courage and determination were celebrated, while his wrath served as a warning of the destructive power of uncontrolled anger. The tale of his vulnerability, his mortal heel, found its way into the colloquial language as Achilles' heel, denoting a single point of weakness in an otherwise strong entity. His relationship with Patroclus became a symbol of deep friendship, loyalty, and perhaps even love, stirring discussions and interpretations throughout the centuries. Achilles' life, though marred by violence and grief, was a testament to the quintessential hero's journey, a narrative of challenge, conflict, and resolution. His tragic story was a reminder of the thin line between heroism and hubris, between glory and devastation. Beyond the war and the tragedy, the essence of Achilles' story lay in his humanity. His wrath, pride, loyalty, and compassion marked him as much more than a warrior. He was a complex embodiment of human virtues and vices, a man caught in the cruel game of the gods. The life of Achilles was indeed brief, but his legacy was eternal. His name lived on, his deeds resonating in the hearts and minds of generations. He became a permanent fixture in the pantheon of heroes, an enduring symbol of heroic struggle, personal integrity, and tragic downfall. Achilles, the invincible warrior, was also the man with a fatal flaw. The hero who fought with unparalleled fury was the same who wept for his fallen friend. The avenger who disrespected his foe's corpse was also the man who sympathetically returned the body when confronted with a father's grief. Achilles' tale transcended the simplistic dichotomy of good and evil, delving into the complex interplay of honor, duty, wrath, and compassion. His story was not merely a tale of war, but a saga of humanity in its rawest form. It forced one to reckon with their own vulnerabilities, just as Achilles had done with his. In death, Achilles achieved the immortal glory he had been promised. His life, woven into the fabric of mythology and history, became a testament to his might, a symbol of his courage, and a mirror to his human frailty. He was no longer just the son of Peleus and Thetis. He was Achilles, the greatest Greek warrior, a hero remembered and revered, a man who had truly become a legend.